once again to Chaotic Riff Magazine, and this is for our On the Record segment. Today we're talking to my good friend Jason Lee Beckwith. He's the drummer and founding member of the Los Angeles-based Kiss tribute band Kissed Alive. And today we're going to... And how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's always good to talk to you, Jason.
Yeah, last time I talked to you earlier in the year, it was for the 40th anniversary of Kiss's Music from Velder, which is... I can't believe that's that old, but anyways, we're going to go a little...
I can't believe we're that old.
Yeah, you and me both. Today we're going to go a little outside the box. You wanted to talk about Van Halen's 1984, and that's an interesting album for a lot of reasons. So I guess let's start with why you chose that album of all Van Halen albums.
Well, it's probably my favorite Van Halen album, although, trying to pick one
is hard, yeah.
Especially from that first six-pack of classic albums from the original lineup. And then, there's the whole other lineups and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's been, I just, for some reason, I just dig that a lot. I came of age when that thing was, I was 14 years old when that thing came out. So,
yeah,
that was my jam, dude.
It's kind of funny because I was like a teenager at that time, and I remember, although I was aware of Van Halen at the time, this album really broke in a big way, as you know, and
oh yeah,
like you, I think I'd heard other Van Halen songs but this was kind of my introduction because it was all over the place.
I heard my first memories of Van Halen was 1978. I'm sitting in a car, in Niagara Falls, New York, where I'm from, and it was, if it's wintertime and you're out there, your windows are frosted. You do one of two things: you take some cold water, not warm water, because that will shatter your window. You take cold water and you pour it over your window and you scrape off the ice. Or if you got a few minutes, you sit in the car with your friends before you go to high school. This is my older brother, but I got to hang and tag along. You sit in the car with your friends from school and you let the window heat up while you crank some music. And my oldest brother, his friend, had just gotten a new stereo in his lime green Chevy Nova with a rust hole in the front bottom of the floor of the passenger seat, so you could see the road if you took up a floor mat. But I remember sitting in the back seat with my older brother and his friend, snow all around and frost on the windows, and we're fogging up the windows, and all of a sudden that car horn and the boom, 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 starting of Running with the Devil into what do you call it? Eruption.
Yeah.
And then you really got me. Those three sitting in that car in 1978 on 73rd Street, Niagara Falls, New York. So they had been on my radar since I was 8 years old. But like you, this just took it up to the stratosphere for, I think, everybody.
I mean, I think the first Van Halen song I really got into, because by that point MTV's around and Jump was all over MTV. You're hearing all over the radio, and it's kind of amazing that you bring up Van Halen 1 in 1984, because I was reading today and prepping for this that 1984 and the debut album remain the band's top two most popular albums of all time, and they've each sold.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
They've each sold over 10 million albums. Now,
they're both very different albums.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I was reading in regards to 1984. If you listen to it, this is the first album where it's really keyboard centric. I mean, the guitars
big time. He wanted to switch things over, the whole paradigm in the band. Yeah, for sure.
And that's the whole friction that I understand was between him and Dave, because
which is really funny.
Yeah.
Look at his first two solo albums.
Yeah.
Look at his second solo album, Skyscraper.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
With keyboards.
Oh yeah. I think by that point maybe Dave realized, I might have been wrong, or even by 1988 when he put out Skyscraper. I mean, keyboards were all over the place, but it's kind of interesting because Eddie is known as a guitar god, and that's what I think a lot of people were shocked when they heard the entire album. But
he wanted them to realize, guys, I'm not just a guitar player, I'm a musician, I can play anything.
Yeah, and I think that really showed people what he was capable. Now,
I'll tell you this, though, and here's the funny thing, though. And, now we're going to start diving deep a little bit on the album, but if you listen to his keyboard stuff...
Sounds like a guitar.
It sounds like a guitar, and it doesn't... I mean, it's just
another layer.
I don't want to say rudimentary stuff, you know what I mean?
Another layer.
But it's not flashy like the playing that he does on the guitar. It's very meat and potatoes.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very songwriting oriented instead of trying to be, a gymnastic with your instrument. You know what I mean? It's very it's for the song, which is a whole different side, a whole different thought process, and it showcases that in him. But what I think is funny, though, I think the best keyboard parts on that album, because all the rest of the keyboard parts seem to be filler. I mean, you have the stuff in Jump, and he's doing basically that diddle 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 like he does in his solos, which is great, and I love it. But it's funny to me that the most interesting parts outside of the song Jump on that album, as far as keyboards go, from what I know of the album, were not written and might not have even been performed by him. Certainly wasn't written by him. The song "I'll Wait." I'll wait till your love comes down.
Oh, yeah,
was written by
Michael McDonald
from the Doobie Brothers.
Yeah. Well kept secret. And
yes, and well, that when you see, people need to watch this internet show called Yacht Rock.
Okay.
Have you ever seen that, Jason?
No, I have to check it out. But
it's a 10-part series. It's called Yacht Rock: The History of Smooth Music. It started out as a competition on Channel 101. You put a show up, and they vote on content, and whatever show wins makes it to the next week or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And these guys kept putting episodes up, and they kept just winning.
Wow.
And so then it became its own little internet television show. It's hosted by this guy named Hollywood Steve.
Okay.
And he does a backstory on a song from this era called Yacht Rock, smooth music, stuff like the Doobie Brothers or Kenny Loggins or Steely Dan, stuff like that. And they tell the story of the musicians around that band or that thing and that song, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's done comically with like comedian style actors. They're not like really on point, high budget stuff.
Okay.
And it's hilarious, but there's a thread of truth running through the whole thing, so it's really cool.
Yeah. Wow.
And one of them, there's a guest appearance by a very famous celebrity comedian towards the end.
Okay.
But mostly it's people you never heard of. And I encourage everyone to get out there and talk about this, and watch this show. It's called Yacht Rock. Start with episode 1. Don't skip around.
Yeah.
It starts off, and I'm not going to be a spoiler alert, but it's sort of. But it starts off with, as the intro is you catching Hollywood Steve in the middle of doing something. Like,
okay.
Oh, hi, you've caught me going through my record collection. Hi, I'm Hollywood Steve. You've caught me, blah, 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 blah. And it gets
fun.
The things that you catch him doing in the opening of the show get progressively weirder as the show goes on. It starts off like, I'm just dusting my record collection. And by the end of it, it's really kind of comically dark. So people have got to get out there and see this. But I say that to say this. It tells the story of a lot of Doobie Brothers stuff.
Wow.
And a guy who produced a lot of stuff for them was a guy named Ted Templeman.
Yeah.
Now, Ted Templeman was the one who finally broke Van Halen and produced their first few albums. Matter of fact, he produced all of them up until the point where Eddie Van Halen built his own studio and started helming, the stuff and started producing stuff. But it was Ted Templeman because their first, speaking of Kiss, their first demo, their first big album was done by Gene Simmons. He produced it and he was trying to shop it around, but it didn't sound right and it didn't catch on. It didn't sound like Van Halen, not the Van Halen we've come to know and love. It sounded like the band, and it was certainly their playing and Dave singing, but the production sound, it sounded like an old Kiss record, like really tight poppy sound. Like the first few Kiss albums or whatever. But so he couldn't get a deal for them, and he ended up tearing their contract up and said, "You guys are good. I can't do anything for you. You're free to go do whatever you want. Take care."
In fact, I heard he'd even approached Bill Aucoin, and he wasn't interested.
Yeah, he said, "No, I don't want it." So, so he released them, and then Ted Templeman found them, produced their first album with that big reverby sound all over the guitar and all that, and that's what made them famous. He broke them, so, I mean, they're tied into Kiss because you could arguably say that he kind of discovered him. He's the first one to sign him and produce him. But So Ted Templeman produced a lot of Doobie Brothers stuff, and then he starts producing for Van Halen. Now, Van Halen, flash forward to 1984, wants to do a keyboard-centric album and wants to get a really cool keyboard song on there. And so it's not a short leap to figure out how Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers ended up writing with Van Halen. And they did that song, I'll Wait. And I know he wrote those keyboard parts. I'm sure it's Eddie playing it on the record. Yeah. But that song was definitely co-written by McDonald.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, until just a few years ago, I'd never heard this story. And then when I heard it, I did a little more research. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like you're saying, that sounds kind of like it could have been a Michael McDonald, too. Now, you're obviously a Doobie Brothers fan, so I got to ask you, are you a big Michael McDonald fan? Like, did you like what he did with the Doobies?
I loved it.
Yeah,
it's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
But that was my jam, dude. Taking it to the streets, you can't beat that song.
No. That's.
But then when you go back and you hear "Oh Black Water, keep on rolling, Mississippi, won't you keep on shining on me?" That stuff was awesome. The early Doobie Brothers stuff was killer, and that's what they're still doing to this day. And they're a great jam band.
Oh yeah.
He was like their Peter Cetera. Yeah. You get a singer-songwriter in there that helps you write some pop songs.
Plays piano.
You get on the charts and you cement your legacy.
Yeah, because
just like Genesis.
Yeah.
Just like so tons of bands that did that. Journey.
Yeah,
you get a guy that helps you write those certain style of songs, and then you get everybody on board.
And, but Doobie Brothers, another song I dig is that one. Listen to the Music. I mean, that's a great rock tune.
Yep.
And very much talking about the Doobie Brothers, kind of Kiss-like too in the sense that what I dig about them, especially when Michael McDonald joined, is you had more than one guy in the band that could sing. So that made it fun too.
You know what's funny about 1984, the album that we're talking about here, is that it shot all the way up to the charts. It made number 2. And it was there for like 5 weeks on the Billboard charts. Yeah. Number 2. And that's Van Halen, right?
Yeah.
You know what stopped it from reaching number 1?
Yes. We're going to go to the same place, which is Michael Jackson's Thriller, which Eddie Van Halen...
solo on one of those songs.
Yeah. Now, think about that. So you got the guitar player in Van Halen. He's got the number 1 spot on the album as well as the number 2 spot.
Yeah.
I think that's...
And what's funny is that number 1 thing was for free. He never got paid for that. He did it for free.
Very much probably...
He never thought that Michael Jackson was going to take off like he did. And so he's like, I'm just going to do a favor for my buddy and play this solo. And nobody's ever going to know about it. We're in between records. The band won't ever know. Who's going to know?
Yeah.
So I played the solo on some random Michael Jackson song on album he's about to put out. Yeah. Who's going to know?
Yeah. And in fact, that was a time, like we said, when there's a lot of friction between the brothers and Dave, and they had all had an agreement where we're
going to... keep it in-house, you don't do solo projects.
Yeah, and I guess everybody else was pissed off. Hey, Ed, why didn't you tell us?
Oh, we can't do it, but you can?
Yeah, and like you're talking about the producer, Ted Templeman, I mean, he'd been involved since the beginning of Van Halen, from the first album up until this album, and like you're saying... he was having a lot of friction between Ted Templeman and Eddie, and that's why he built that studio. And I think, like you're saying, the other guys might not have known he was working on the keyboard stuff. I think he was going to this studio and doing this stuff and kind of just putting the album together little by little.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the whole album is just, it's like a master class. Albums like that, albums like, let's say, Back in Black.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no filler. I mean, there's songs on this album that seem like they're filler, but if you dive into them, they're not.
Yeah,
let's say Girl Gone Bad. It's a song towards the end of the album.
Yeah.
The lyrics sound like they might have, at first listen, you go, I don't know, how much time did they really spend on this song? But then dive into it, and it's really good. It's next level.
Yeah, and
a lot of Dave's lyrics and stuff were kind of delayed reactions.
Yeah.
You don't get it for a few days,
A lot of his lyrics are kind of nonsensical, and I was talking to this guy, huge David Lee Roth fan. He plays in a Van Halen tribute band. He's a lead singer. It's Viva Van Halen, but he's in.
Yeah. That's Stephen Lee, right?
Yeah, he's a cool guy. But anyways,
nice guy. I've met him a couple times.
He was, and what's funny about him is not only does he do Dave, but I mean, you talk to the guy and you sort of like you're talking to Dave. I mean, he's got the same type of voice. He overly excited, but he does the Dave thing great. And like one of my all-time favorite Dave tunes, Van Halen era, is on the best of Volume 1, but the new track "Me Wise Magic." And Steve was telling me, you know, Dave is like really into yoga, and if you listen to the lyrics, he said they're all like yoga phrases and stuff that really don't mean nothing unless you know what it means. But that's where Dave's mind goes, and that's what I love. Some of those lyrics, they don't make
reaching to the feet of God.
Yeah.
Looking for a sign, but I was right here all the time.
Yeah. See, I mean,
he's those two songs are like bookends, you know. And Dave says that wasn't the original intent, but in hindsight, it certainly seems to fit the bill. In terms of those two songs, were bookends for his short little reunion with Van Halen. Because if you listen to Me Wise Magic, it's like, hey man, don't you remember? I was there with you this whole time, you and me, man. I know your thoughts because I am you and you are me.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking, Ed. Let's stop all this nonsense and be the brotherhood that we were supposed to be. Be the friction producing machine that we were, whatever. That magic only exists between you and I, man. And I know what's in your head, dude. And then you listen to the other song, Can't Get This Stuff No More.
Yeah.
It has a whole vibe of, well, guys, I tried.
Yeah, and you know,
keep it in mind when we say goodbye, you can't get this stuff no more.
Yeah.
You can have good albums and good songs, but you won't have magic.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because, like, for example, they had 4 #1 albums with Sammy Hagar, and I hear Sammy talk about that all the time. And that's something to be very proud of. But at the same time, like, as we're sitting here doing this, we're talking about the fact that the debut album, 1984, or the like top 2 best-selling Van Halen albums, they've sold over 10 million. So even though those other ones are #1 albums, these albums have still sold more, which is kind of, it just boggles the mind. Like, how did this not get to #1? You know, only because of Michael Jackson's album.
Funny. Yeah. How funny is that? You know.
Yeah.
He's on it. You know, it's just.
Yeah, and you'd think like they got to #2 with this album, and you're like, right when the band is really, I mean, they're big at this point, but with 1984, like I said, it makes it all the way to #2. They're all over MTV. They got a big tour, and you would think they go on to bigger and better things, but as big as the band got, they broke up right after this, and I don't think anybody was ready for that.
Oh, I tell you, I mean, think of what could have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just listening to those 2 songs and how they sounded. And when I first heard that those songs were coming out, I was so curious.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I heard Me Wise Magic, and he's singing in Sammy Hagar's register.
Yeah.
And it's like, boy, you know, that whole decade, there could have been a whole different thing, you know? And I love it. I think that, I mean, obviously he couldn't sing like that anymore, but who among us could, you know? But it's like, I'll give you whatever you want. You want that? Oh, I'll give that to you. Whatever, man. Let's just do this. I mean, he so impressed me with his vocal delivery on those songs, you know?
Yeah,
whether he can replicate it live or not, that's another story, but, you know, they make great albums. They make great music, you know?
And
I mean, now, another song on this album that doesn't get a lot of credit, I think, is the song Drop Dead Legs. That and, like, House of Pain.
Yeah.
I know for sure House of Pain was among their earliest demos.
That's why I was
getting ready to go and mine old works for, you know, and transform them into new stuff. Yeah. Which is what they did with that album when they got back together with Dave, A Different Kind of Truth.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say, is like, I think House of Pain and Drop Dead Legs, they were actually like these old demos they'd done like back in the 70s, and maybe, like you're saying, filler material, maybe they need like 2 more tunes. So they threw it on.
Dave would just freshen up the lyrics.
Yeah, and that's what I think it was.
What's that song, Mean Street, from their album?
Fair Warning.
Fair Warning, yeah. That was actually 2 different songs, and one was a song called Voodoo Queen.
Yeah, you know, you make a very good point, Jason, because what I was getting ready to say, when they got back together in 2012, I like that album, but what I really wish they would have done is like
Michael Anthony?
Well, that too. But I like what they did is they let Wolfgang kind of go in and Okay, well, if you go in and check out all these old demos we have laying around, and you pick out, which tunes you want to go on the album. I wish, like you're saying with Me Wise Magic, if you could write a tune like that, why not get together and write a bunch of new tunes? I mean, I like the album they put out, but I think it would have been received much better if they were...
Honestly, I think probably the inner workings of whatever was going on between them and Dave, and then, maybe by then Ed was already having health issues, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
That was like hey, let's just do what we can and not rock the boat. I can't imagine the four of them could sit in the studio together.
Yeah, I will tell you the interesting thing, but I remember sitting in my front room the day it was announced that Eddie Van Halen had just passed, and I wasn't totally surprised because we'd known he'd been ill for a while, but I'd heard he'd been going between, like Europe and the U.S. to get treatment, and what I'd heard was that, like they were getting ready to do a reunion tour and stuff, but he just got so sick all of a sudden that it never...
Yeah, there was talk about doing a kitchen sink tour. Don't know if everyone would have agreed, but he gave Wolfgang permission to go out and start talking to people about it.
Yeah.
Would have had the original bass player, would have had Wolfgang's band opening, would have had Van Halen, could have had all three singers, would have just been a big celebration night. How awesome would that have been?
Oh, yeah, I know what I was getting ready to say. So when it was reported that he had just died, they were talking about how long he'd been battling, and I guess he'd had it longer than people even realized. If you can believe this, he'd been battling cancer off and on for like the last 20 years. That's quite a battle.
Yep. I mean, back in the early 2000s, that's when he lost that part of his tongue, wasn't it?
Yeah. And, to Woofy's credit, I've heard him, since Ed's passed on, he's done these interviews talking about his album's getting ready to drop next week, and he was saying it was actually his idea. He told his dad, when they first started talking about, they were going to do a reunion tour and maybe have Sammy and Dave do it, he told his dad, hey, Dad, come on, give Michael a call, make up with him and this and that. And I don't know that they ever did, but he said...
it was supposed to be Wolfgang who was going to reach out to Michael, but then
never happened.
I guess their manager had reached out to him before Wolfie got the chance.
Yeah, and so... this album, 1984, like you said...
Speaking of Wolfgang real quick, man, I mean, how stoked is he now that they just announced that he's going to be the opening act for
Guns N' Roses.
North American Guns N' Roses tour?
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that Ed's not here to see this kind of a launch of Wolfgang.
He would have been so proud of him.
But, the stuff I've seen so far, I don't know about you, but I'm going to get the album. I've already ordered it, but... I don't expect it to sound anything like Van Halen. I mean, a lot of the stuff I've heard so far doesn't really, but he's got like a great sense of humor too, because he plays all the instruments from what I understand on the album. There's a video for one of his songs where...
what is that?
He's sitting like behind the drums. Hey, Wolf. Hey.
Yeah, no, he does all the instruments.
Yeah, and he's talking kind of himself, and hey, Wolfie's here. Hey, Wolf. And it's just kind of...
at the end of the video, that was horrible. Oh, God, can we fix that? Yeah, we can fix that.
And I thought, how cool. This kid's got like a great sense of humor, great musical everything, but how could he not?
I'm curious to see what kind of a live band they're going to be, like how entertaining they're going to be live, because right now I saw a couple of shows, where he went and did a couple of...
TV spots.
Yeah, TV spots. And... I don't know. I'm just curious to see what they do when they have a production or stage.
They gotta have I'd imagine some type of live band. Now that's who I'm interested to see who's going to be in the live band. It's going to be a bunch of.
I mean, his introduction to live performing was under the tutelage of the ringmasters, the Toastmaster General of the Immoral Majority.
Yeah.
So once you've gone to school with David Lee Roth, I imagine his show's going to be entertaining. But let's see.
Yeah, what I'm waiting to see, too, is that I would not be totally surprised because he's apparently friends, too, with, he knows Sammy, I guess, and I would be surprised if Sammy said, hey, Woofy, when you get done with the Guns N' Roses tour, why don't you open for the Circle or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I could see that totally.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see how Wolfgang's album, takes off or not. But
you know what I'd like to see, Jason? I'm just going to put this out there in the universe just so I can speak the words and maybe it'll plant the seed in the universe. I'd like to just randomly on this tour where Dave is going to be opening up the rest of the Kiss End of the Road tour.
Yeah.
I would like to see Alex Van Halen just show up randomly out of the blue one night and get on stage with Dave for a song.
I believe it or not, I don't think that's so far out of a realm because I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I probably will when we get done with this. But there's a David Lee Roth interview that supposedly somebody posted up on the internet I've seen today from a Joe Rogan show a few days ago, and he was talking about that he's still in contact with Alex and they're friends and all, or at least as far as on good terms. I mean, think about Alex Van Halen for a minute. Could you imagine not only do you lose, your kid brother, but your best friend and the one guy that
your only guitar player ever in life.
Yeah. That's why when Ed died and you have all these crazy announcement, Van Halen's going to carry on, Whoopi's going to step in for his dad.
Oh, that was all crap.
I knew right away. And to the other guy's credit, because legally, I'm sure Alex, if he wanted to, could carry on as Van Halen and Dave and them, but I think they got the taste, they're tasteful enough to know that no, the fans would not accept that.
No, there will never be a band called Van Halen.
And even I got to give credit to Whoopi because again, he could have.
It was David Lee Roth's idea too to name the band Van Halen.
Yeah, and the amazing thing about that is, for years it was David Lee Roth who was kind of telling Eddie, "Hey Ed, when you play and do your little tricks, kind of have your back to the audience so nobody can see what you're doing." That was where Dave's mind went, and he wasn't even the guitar player.
He was thinking big picture even back then.
Yeah, and in regards to when Ed passed, it was interesting because for years we heard these guys hated each other, but I think they got to a point in life where, they got back together. I think they had a mutual respect for one another. I think whatever hate was there was kind of went away, and a lot of people.
I don't think they were best of friends. They certainly weren't hanging in the off season, but I'll tell you this: there's a clip, and I want people to look this up.
Uh-huh.
They on their final couple of shows on their last tour, which turned out to be their last tour ever.
Yeah,
was at the Hollywood Bowl, okay? And I believe it's from the second night, but it could be the first. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the middle of not Panama. It's in the middle of. Are you talking about love?
Maybe, okay.
Maybe Romeo Delight. No. I'll have to look it up. But one of the songs, in the middle of the song, there's a breakdown, and he walks over and he says, I said it before, but just so you know, I mean it. And he looks at Ed's face and he says, the high points of my life were spent on stage with you, Ed. And then he gave him a hug, and then he looks over and says, you too, Al. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. And, people for days, when Ed first died, there are all these people coming out, with these great tributes to Eddie. And people were wondering why it took Dave, a couple of days. But I'll tell you, when he finally came out and posted something on his site, it was something kind of short and sweet, but it made the point like, it's been a long, wonderful journey or something like that. And had a picture of him and Eddie kind of together.
Yeah.
And I that's so cool. It he didn't take up a whole page like some people, but it's it was short and sweet, and it said it all in just a few words. Dave's amazing. Sometimes when he does stuff like that, because he didn't, like I say, take up the whole page, but the sentiment was there, and you could feel it.
I almost wonder if they knew or had a sense that might be the last time they were ever on stage, because he sure was. You look at the way Ed, the way Dave was looking at him. I think he was definitely probably ill back then too. But I love that they had that moment, even if it wasn't a private moment, which those guys are, Ed and Al seem real private guys. But it was just really cool. The high points of my life were spent on stage with you, Ed. You too, Al.
Yeah.
People got to look that up. Hollywood Bowl. It was their last concert. It was the last Van Halen concert, it turns out.
Yeah. And it's amazing because, like I said, these guys have been through so much together and some crazy things. But I do think that they knew he was getting sicker and sicker. And who knows what they knew when, but a lot sooner than the fans and everybody.
It's a credit to Roth.
Yeah.
He didn't say nothing.
Well, and
he
I
didn't
think
even say that he was saying nothing. You know,
I
said
think
nothing.
Yeah, I think
those guys were private, and he kept it that way.
I think he learned his lesson over the years with these guys. I mean,
that's why he never released any of that solo stuff. He wrote a whole album worth of stuff with John 5,
which I think
didn't release any of the songs until after Ed had passed.
Yeah, and I think
all he wanted to do was be in Van Halen for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and he was, and that's what I'm talking about. You know, like because I remember when I first started hearing these rumors that after they put out that live album, that they were going to go out and tour the following year, and it never happened. And then Dave made some kind of statement. He didn't say anything bad about the brothers or anything, but he just said that I don't think the Van Halen reunion is gonna ever happen or whatever. But he didn't say anything bad about it. He just kind of saying I don't think it's gonna. I think he knew at that point. And even I was reading that Sammy finally got to make up with Eddie, where I guess the one that brought them together was comedian George Lopez. And he called him and said, Sam, if you have any chance you're going to make up with him, you need to call him soon. He's really in a bad way. And Sammy tried to reach out. I was reading a few times before and never got an answer, like wished him a happy birthday, online or so, never heard back from him. And then once he got Ed's number again from George Lopez, he gave it a shot. He called him, he answered, and he was kind of half jokingly telling Sammy, what took you so long to call me? And then they actually got a chance to be friends again and talk, and that's cool for Sammy. You finally got to make up with the guy before he dies, and it was a genuine thing, from what I understand. And Sammy's saying I didn't want to. He goes, I didn't put out this big announcement that me and Eddie were friends again, and till after he died, because like you're saying, he's a real private.
Reunion? No, I didn't even like that.
Yeah, he's like
just about a couple of guys being humans.
Yeah, he's like, I kept it real private until after he had passed. And he says, I just want everybody to know that we made up.
I'll tell you what, man. So, it's eternal testament. That guy was just like a one-of-a-kind musician, and like a stone thrown in a pond. The ripples are just everywhere. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And
look at the way. Just circling back to 1984. Look at the albums or the songs on it, and look at the variety. I mean, yeah, you've got the keyboard-centric stuff. Okay, yeah. You got Jump. You got Panama, right?
Yeah.
But then you've also got, like...
Top Jimmy, I love
Panama, that. Even, from Jump to Panama.
Yeah.
How about the drums at the beginning of Hot for Teacher? Good Lord.
Hot for Teacher. That's a track.
Yeah. It was almost to the tone that he used on their next album, 5150, which I wasn't a fan of at all.
Yeah.
Those Simmons electronic drums or whatever he was using at the time.
Yeah.
God bless him for being a pioneer, but this album was awesome. That's iconic. There's iconic moments all over this album,
Yeah.
The keyboard intro, 1984, the album opener, right?
Oh, yeah.
The keyboard intro to the song Jump.
Yeah. And
the guitar intro to Panama.
Yeah.
The keyboard intro to I'll Wait. The drum intro to Hot for Teacher. They're iconic moments. Instantly, if you do the drums even halfway close, people will automatically go, if you just that guitar of Panama, literally within 2 notes, you can say what that song is. Within the first 2 or 3 keyboard notes of Jump, you know exactly what that song is,
Oh, yeah.
And that's a testament to that album. Most albums have one iconic moment, 2 iconic moments.
Yeah, and
this album was full of iconic moments. Almost every single song had an iconic moment in it.
Yeah, and let me...
just amazing album. And was it Van Halen? Was it the guy that helped them produce it or whatever?
Yeah.
Who really was, Don Landy maybe, the engineer? I don't know. I'm just telling you, Ted Templeman, he was still producing for them.
Oh, yeah. And
I think this was like Kiss had Destroyer.
Yeah.
Like that's your apex moment, your art,
This is when they kind of peaked. This was at the peak. And,
think of what could have been, man.
Yeah, and
Hot for Teacher... I'm not going to worry about what could have been. What did we have? What did we get? That was amazing.
Oh yeah.
I'm so glad we got that album. You know, I mean, I'm so glad we had that music. I will play Van Halen music until the day I die.
So
I have a home studio here at my bed and breakfast in Bonsall, at Villa Bonsall. And I have a recording studio here now.
Wow.
And, it's right. It's literally the recording studio is 2 steps from the edge of my pool.
Oh, that's cool. That's
cool.
Open
the door of the studio, 1 step, 2 steps, and you're in water.
Oh, how cool is that? Now,
and we're up on the hillside. It overlooks a vineyard. It'd be a great place to make an album.
Yeah, it would be.
So if anybody out there wants to, hit me up, people. Bring it on. Let's go. You can write. You can stay out here. Look up Villa Bonsall. We have these things called Mongolian yurts. They're like these tents that are made for Mongolian nomads, and we have them. People stay in them. You know, they stay in them. They get free breakfast, that kind of stuff. And so my idea is, let's say somebody wants to write and record an album, but they want to do it outside of the eye of the hurricane, let's say, or the eye of the storm. So they want to get out of LA. They want to be able to write and record in anonymity. So they come here, they stay in my yurt, they write their album, they start demoing, and then when you need the band to come lay tracks, you put them in another yurt and you hang out by the pool.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
And Jason,
I played just like 2 days ago. Wow. I was in here playing some drums to warm up for some shows with my band Kissed Alive that are coming up, and that's one of my first songs in my regular workout regimen on drums. There's 2 of them. I play "Jump" by Van Halen, and I play "Unchained" by Van Halen.
Interesting.
Those 2 songs are in my workout every time I play.
Now, being that you have a recorder, do you ever sit down and like say, "Oh, I wonder what it would, sound like to kind of do a drum cover of like Hot for Teacher," or something like that?
Absolutely. You can go on my Facebook page and see me doing just that, drums and vocals. Matter of fact, there is on my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Jason Lee SD, as in San Diego.
Okay.
And you'll scroll through the videos and you'll see a drum video of me playing along with "Jump" by Van Halen.
Interesting. Now, before we move on to talk about your band Kissed Alive, I want to ask you about the track "Hot for Teacher," because that was one of my all-time favorite tracks off this album. And I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about, is Van Halen a rock band or a metal band? Because they definitely have metal moments. For example, "Hot for Teacher." And I think, too, when this album came out, people seen that video. Very close. I mean, it's got elements of being a metal track, heavy drums and all that. I think a lot of people see that, and they might have categorized Van Halen as a metal band, but then you put on the rest of the album, it's much more of a pop album.
So are you asking me, do I think they're a hard rock or a heavy metal band?
I mean, could you see where people could call them a metal band? Or
I can see both.
Yeah,
I mean, you listen to the song "Unchained."
Yeah. Mean Street.
They're chunking it, man. That's metal riffing, dude.
Mean Street.
That's definitely metal riffing, and their earliest stuff was informed by Black Sabbath. Their first world tour was Black Sabbath, But I think if you look at them honestly, it's hard rock.
Oh, yeah. And so when you, as a drummer, Jason, when you heard that song "Hot for Teacher," you must have just thought, "Oh yeah." Man.
I heard that song and I thought, well, I'll never be able to do that. And you know what, Jason? I was right.
Yeah.
I still can't do that. I don't play double bass drums for starters, but that's just such next level. That's like saying, well, I'm going to learn to play 2112 by Rush. Yeah, you can play some of it, but you ain't going to play it.
You ain't going to master it.
There's playing it, and then there's playing it.
And I think the final thing we got to talk about with this album is David Lee Roth. Part of the friction between him and the brothers is very much, I guess, like Sammy was doing when he joined. Dave kind of ran the band, and that he directed the videos. He kind of he booked the shows and stuff, from what I understand, and he was almost like the band's second manager. But if you look at those videos, like for "Jump" and "Hot for Teacher," especially like "Hot for Teacher," I mean, it's you got Waldo and the guys. There's like a little Eddie, a little Alex, a little Dave, a little Mike, and
that's Dave.
Yeah. And they all kind of, that's what I crack up
with. He won some awards for that. I think he won some MTV awards and some stuff like that for those videos.
Yeah. And now you were wanting to talk about Kiss Alive, your band, and I see you guys have a show coming up in Big Bear, and I wanted to ask you about that because I think a couple years back when I had interviewed you, you just you played a show there or something where you'd suffered a heart attack, and I was curious if this will be the first show you've done since then.
Well, part of that is true, and part of that is not.
Okay.
I did have a heart attack during a show, but it was at a place called Campland on the Bay in Mission Bay, San Diego.
That's right. I wasn't sure.
A place where actually we are going to be playing again this year.
Wow.
3 days after my birthday, coincidentally, and that heart attack show was actually my birthday. Crazy stuff. No, that didn't happen up in Big Bear.
Okay, that's I think what the confusion is.
This is the first time we've played Big Bear since 2018.
Yeah,
it's a venue called The Cave.
Okay.
It's an old movie house, and they transformed it some years ago into just a top shelf music venue. Great lights, great sound, and we played there once a year for probably about 5-6 years. Usually in conjunction with a Special Olympics event they do up there called the Polar Plunge.
Wow.
Where people dress up in costume and in teams, and you raise money, like when you're getting sponsored to run a marathon. Well, you raise money to go up to Big Bear in March and jump in the freezing ass cold lake like a polar bear.
Oh, wow.
It's called the Polar Bear Plunge.
Oh, almost like ice.
We don't do that.
Yeah.
I got a doctor's note.
Yeah.
We don't do that, but what we do is we go down there and we sit in the booth for The Cave. We take photos with everybody, hang out, have fun, and encourage people, cheer on the Special Olympics guys and stuff, and talk about our show that night, and then we go and rock and roll over at The Cave.
Yeah.
Well, this year, they're just now getting the shows starting again after COVID and all that. Our agent, Landon, he got some shows up there, and we're going to be the first one. We're going to kick the door open this season on June 18th. We're going to go up to Big Bear at The Cave, and we're going to rock and roll. And we're stoked, man. It's our first time playing Big Bear since 2018. We have much to give.
And so this is like you guys, kind of your comebacks. First couple of shows you've done since.
Yeah, we've gotten our feet wet, kind of did some drive-in shows, but this will be our first indoor club show since... Wow, you're right, dude. That's going to be our first indoor club show proper since all the COVID stuff happened 2 years ago, man.
And so here's the next question. How prepared for you? I mean, when you're talking about, you're a guy that, suffered a heart attack a few years ago and you're still here, thank God. But the fact that you guys haven't, played a ton of shows like you typically do each year because of this COVID stuff, are there any rehearsals?
We're going to do that this year. People can go to our website or our Facebook page, facebook.com/KissedAlive, and they go to the events page and they can see we've got about 7 or 8 shows already. We're getting out there and we're getting after it with a vengeance. We're going to do all 3 of the LA area canyon clubs. That's Montclair, Santa Clarita, and Agora Hills. We're going to do Campland in Mission Bay twice this year.
Wow. On
August 7th and October 2nd, which is going to be their annual Campland Day celebration, and we're going to go and headline it. I'll tell you what, you said about that heart attack show.
Yeah.
I went that night and I told them, when I left with the ambulance, I told the kids that were huddled out by the dressing room door worried about the Catman.
Yeah.
I gave them a thumbs up and I said, look kids, we're going to be coming back here in a month and a half and I guarantee you we're going to make that show.
Yeah.
And I did, and we did, man. We played it. We went back, and I'll tell you, playing that place afterwards, when I went back and played that first show back, it was something special, man.
Now, did any of these kids
I was in there with 500 of my own family members.
Did any of these kids think you were like the real Peter Criss, or do they think no, it's the?
No, I don't try to.
No, I know you don't, but
I've had some kids who are too young to know the difference.
That's what I mean.
And they probably don't know that much about Kiss to begin with. You know.
Yeah.
I certainly don't pull the curtain back for kids. I wouldn't want to spoil it if they think, oh, that's the Catman, and they want to take some photos or whatever. Hey, you know what? No harm, no foul, as long as the parents know and stuff like that. I don't try to market us like Kiss.
No, of course not.
I think that would be disrespectful to Kiss and to the fans.
Oh yeah,
if they go home and go, oh, that guy was just cheesing me. That's going to give them a real bad taste in their mouth for what could have been a nice memory and a fun night. So it's a balancing act, but I think so far I've figured out the correct spot to land on that.
Oh no, I mean let me be clear on this. I wasn't trying to say you're trying to pass yourself off as Peter Criss.
No.
But I do think that there could be a circumstance where something like that could happen, and somebody not knowing it's a Kiss tribute band, just walking by.
I'll tell you, we do look hella good.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but I'm telling you, man, there's a reason why we've been around since 2012. April 2012 is when this band started, and there's a reason why we've been around this long. There's on paper this band shouldn't work. There's a guy that's 60. There's a guy that does this. There's a guy that does that. There's all this stuff behind the curtains, man. And if you looked at it, you go, dude, this band will never fly. But just when I think we're going to stop playing, we get requests for shows and people want us to come back and they have a good time. And I think that's the thing. We go out there and we just want to have fun, man. And we like Kiss. We like hearing the music. We like playing it. And we like hanging out with people that do, So we don't take it too seriously. But consequently, though, we're not going to get up there as a tribute band and look like garbage, because I think then you're taking the piss out of all of it.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to take it a little bit seriously as far as you're messing with people's memories.
Well,
you're messing with people's childhood memories, so why not keep it pleasant?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think about.
We make an effort to look really good. We make an effort to have good costumes. We take pride in doing our own makeup. It takes me an average of 90 minutes before every show to do my makeup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it pays off. We'll be going down the hallway, and I've seen people jump out of elevators and leave the people they were in the elevator with to come and take a photo with us. I mean, there's definitely people that do double takes, and I think that's a testament to our respect for what we're doing and for the band that we are paying tribute to. We have the utmost respect for Kiss, and so much so that we want to keep playing music. We are a human jukebox for the music of Kiss. That's exactly what we are. We're flying the flag. When they can't come to town, come to see us in the meantime, and you're going to have a great time. And we're going to hit a lot of bullet points for you. You're going to see the fire sometimes when we're allowed. You're going to see the blood. You're going to see those things. You're going to hear rock and roll all night and party every day. You're going to hear those songs. You're going to hear Detroit Rock City. You're going to see me sing Beck. All that stuff that people remember. So how disrespectful would it be if we went up there and just half-assed it visually?
And I got to look good. I got to tell people listening to this that I encourage you to go on Jason's either Jason's personal Facebook page, Jason Lee Beckwith, or his band Kissed Alive. You look at the photos, and what he's saying is so true. The dedication and that each member of a band puts into this, because it's much more than just getting up in your jeans and t-shirts. And see, that's what I dig about a band like Kiss Alive is okay, you're not only a great Kiss tribute band, but you guys go the extra mile looking the part. I mean, I would much rather see that, you guys made up as you are, as opposed to, these four guys in jeans and t-shirts just showing us that they can play Kiss chords, I mean... And
that's fine, if you're going to be a cover band and just cover one song, and that's a cover band.
Oh, yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference.
But if you're going to market yourself as a tribute to whatever, I don't know, I'm of the school that you go big or you go home, and what band taught that better than the Masters themselves? So, and there's bands that are out there that play Kiss music, and they're a tribute band, but we don't do the makeup, we just play the songs, and that's fine, because the music stands on its own.
Of course.
You don't need the music to have good Kiss music. The music definitely stands on its own, but you know what? It's just a whole hell of a lot more fun when you do put the makeup on, and the crowd has a whole hell of a lot more fun.
And
I guarantee you, if you go to a show where they're playing Kiss music and they're not wearing makeup, and you go to a Kiss Alive show where we got the costumes, the boots, the makeup, the blood, and all that, and you tell me which one was a better time.
And not only that, they're
going to let the gauntlet down. If you go to see any of those guys that half-ass it, and then you come to see a band like us or any of the other great Kiss tributes in the Southwest area alone, of which I am friends with several of them. People wouldn't think that, but we are. We often help each other out in all kinds of ways that you wouldn't even imagine. But you come to see you come to see Kiss Alive, and then you go to see a Kiss band that's just playing music, and tell me who had more fun. I guarantee you we had more fun. I guarantee our crowds are having more fun, because they're not our crowds. We're just doing a tailgate party for a Kiss concert. Just the Kiss ain't coming around for a couple of months.
I'll tell you something.
I just love it. We have fun.
I'll tell you something though. Like you're saying, you go see two Kiss tributes. One gets made up and one doesn't. They go to your show.
I mean, why not have more fun?
They go to your show, and you're giving them the wow factor. You're giving them entertainment more than just the music. And I know when I go to concerts, that's what I want to get, you know. And yeah, it's fun.
Exactly. I don't want to sit there and see somebody stare at their shoes.
Yeah,
I want you to entertain me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just going to play the music, I got your record. I know what the songs sound like.
Yeah.
I want to go to a concert. I want to have fun. I want to experience all of it. I want to see the visuals. I want all of it, you know. And Kiss was the one that broke that open for everybody, and not only made the mold, but broke it in the process.
And I think with COVID, you know, towards the end of it, and things are starting to open up again, I think, especially when Kiss finally does play their last final concert.
Don't speak those words.
No, but I'm going to say, I think it'll be good business for bands like you guys, because now that there's no chance Kiss is ever going to come around again, maybe.
Of course.
You guys are going to continue to carry the flag.
Who's going to be able to deliver it live? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those guys are all in their 60s and 70s anyway, so the only way you're going to see Kiss music played live with that kind of oomph once they're gone is the tribute bands. I mean, that's why Elvis impersonators became such a huge thing, like in Vegas and stuff like that in the 80s, because that was right after he died. He died in 77. So the only way you were going to experience an Elvis concert was to go see a celebrity impersonator, or like that Legends show in Vegas. That's what we are for our generation.
Oh, yeah. And
we are the celebrity impersonators. We are the Legends show for our generation.
And I think Paul Stanley,
the producers of Legends are listening.
Yeah, I
hope they know that they should call up the guys in Kiss Alive and have us be part of their show.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Legends, you know, it started out just as a show. It's actually turned into a business. I mean, where the business is Legends, and they get all these famous tribute artists, you know, to do different acts.
No, it's great. They cycle people in and out. It's perfect. I mean, and that's what we do, you know. And so, why not take it over the top? Why not give them something to look at as well as hear? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
We don't mind putting in the extra work. It is extra work, but I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't mind sitting in a makeup chair for 90 minutes before I go on, because it's kind of it's a process. You know, we go through this little transformation thing, like being in a cocoon or whatever, and you get out there and you're really ready to go.
And how cool is it as a drummer that you can do more than just sit back there and just beat the drums? I mean, you can be a singing drummer. I mean, I know you also have your other project, Jason Lee and Friends, where you put out some solo music over years. Now, my question is, were you, before you got into like portraying Peter Criss, were you much of a singer, or did you kind of fall into it?
So did the drums come first, or the vocals come first?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Question.
Yeah.
The drums came first.
That's what I thought.
I both came late in life, relatively speaking. I started playing drums at the age of 24.
Amazing. Wow.
I made up for lost time, buddy, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I got after it. But, I brought home, I was working nights in a Pizza Hut.
Oh, wow.
And I was always banging out rhythms on the little pans that cover the little, the bell peppers.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Stuff. So as your assembly line, they got these metal pan covers. And I would always bang out rhythms.
Oh, cool.
And, which would annoy the hell out of the gal that worked next to me on the line. And one night she exploded on me, told me how she was a drummer, and there was a studio nearby that for $10 an hour I could rent their drum set in a nice soundproof room, take my radio in there, plug it in, play along to it, and no one would hear me.
Wow.
So I did that, actually. It sounded like fun.
Wow, yeah.
And I did it 4 weeks in a row. And at the end of the 4 weeks, I came home and told my wife at the time, I'm going to be a drummer, damn it. And I went and bought a drum set.
Wow.
And within a year from that, I was in my first band, and I just got after it.
And what was it, you know, like...
About 10 years later, I decided I had enough of playing drums for a while. I was in a band that was really good. It was a Jimi Hendrix tribute show.
Oh, wow.
And it was just so good. And it ended, my time in the band ended in a disappointing way, and I was so bummed out, because this guy was just such a... he put that guitar on and he'll make you cry. He did nothing but play Jimi Hendrix music.
Oh, wow.
By the time he was like late teens. He had his own music and he wrote stuff, but his joy was playing Jimmy's music, and he was really good at it. He recorded with Billy Cox. His name was Daryl Fields.
Okay.
He had this band called the Purple Haze Experience, and he was amazing. And I'll always love that man.
Oh,
he
wow.
passed away in a horrible way. He ended up on Skid Row.
Oh, wow.
And somebody set his tent on fire when he was sleeping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. But that man was just a beautiful, kind soul, and he played beautiful music. And when my time in his band came to an end, I was so frustrated with it that when I left his band, I put drumsticks down, and I didn't play for years. I looked at my drum tech at the time. He was my best friend. His name was Dan Harper. And I said, I'm going to make a band, and you're going to be the drummer. He said, well, you're a drummer. What are you going to do? I said, dude, we're going to go make a cover band. We're going to do classic rock songs in a bar, and any idiot can sing classic rock songs. I'm going to go and sing. You're going to be the drummer. So that's where my first singing band started, and that was a band called Loss of Control.
Oh, wow.
Which turned into a band and was named after
Van
Halen song.
Yeah, wow. Funny how that happens. And
so Van Halen threads through everything I do, man.
That's interesting.
But, wow. So I used to say it was more of a mission statement than a band name.
Yeah.
You know, and we used to auger in for like 3-4 hours a night, and then things started really taking off, and we were having fun. We were playing gigs out on the Vegas Strip up in Hollywood with a really good friend of mine named Happening Harry and his band called the Halftones.
Wow.
Love you, Harry. So, that's how I started singing in bands, was that band there. Somewhere along the way, we started writing and recording original stuff, and we put out an album called Disconnection. It had about 6 or 7 original songs, and then 4 or 5 live cover tunes to show people what we were about that way.
Oh, wow.
And it was a good time. It was a good 12-year run. We had a lot of fun.
You know, all the times I've interviewed this part of the story, I've never come up till today. It's fun learning all this stuff I didn't know about you. And
we have fun. And the album cover was this painting by an artist I had met in Laguna Beach, was the town where I fell in love with my current wife of almost 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
Her and I, our first go out of town for the weekend and have some fun was in Laguna Beach. So I like to say we fell in love and with Laguna Beach on the same weekend.
Interesting.
And I met this artist named Moran.
Okay.
He had this picture called 13 Monkeys, I think it's called. It wasn't like the movie 12 Monkeys, it was 13 Monkeys, something like that. And I just thought it was a cool thing, and I told him I was putting this album together, and it's going to be called Disconnection. And he says, you can use this for free. So the guy gave me the rights to use the painting for our cover art.
Yeah. Just a couple more questions, Jason. I'll let you go now. I'm prepping for this interview tonight. I was going over some of our conversations we've had in the past, via email through Facebook. And last time, you first brought up doing this interview tonight, saying I'd really love to do an interview talking about 1984. You were sharing
I've been playing it a lot lately, man.
Yeah.
I'm playing Jump almost daily.
Yeah, that's cool. But you were sharing with me, I don't know if you remember this, we were talking about this through email a couple of months back, that this particular day we were chatting that you had got delivered in the mail a picture of the Van Halen album cover.
You're talking about the cover art.
Yeah. That's what I totally...
A very good friend of mine called up, as a matter of fact, that drummer I was talking about, the drummer from my old band, Loss of Control, my good friend Dan Harper, who now lives in Washington, D.C., of all places.
Wow.
And he, or so I've been told, I don't know. That could be a top secret.
Okay, yeah.
But he got a hold of my wife, and through a set of circumstances, this came in.
The mail.
He put this on my wife's radar, and now I have it's a reprint of the original cover art for the album of 1984. It's got the cherub, the angel kid smoking a cigarette or whatever, and it's signed by the artist.
Yeah, I don't know in our whole conversation how we forgot to mention that album cover, because it's one of the most controversial things that come up about this album, and I don't know.
Angel smoking a cigarette,
and a little baby angel. I'm like,
yep.
I mean,
baby smoking a cigarette.
And they did it again, like with the final album they did with Sammy, Balance. They got those 2 Siamese twins on the cover. It's like, what was going through these guys' mind when they picked these album covers?
I'll tell you what. Well, I think from what I've heard, Alex Van Halen had a lot to do with the cover art.
Oh, really?
I know Dave had a lot of creative input on everything that was created. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've read over the years that Al would have a lot to do with the cover art too. But I could be wrong on that.
No, I think you're right, because I also read kind of the crazy album cover they had for the album they did with Gary Cherone, Van Halen 3. That kind of fat guy. That's like a stock photo, but I was reading Alex picked it out for some reason, and he just really, really loved it. So you're probably right about that. And then I wanted to ask you, being that you play the role of Peter Criss, you mentioned that from time to time you'll perform like Beth during the set list. I was curious, like, what are some of the other Peter Criss songs you've done? Like, have you ever done like Strange Ways or Nothing to Lose?
Well, I'd like to, and we're going to add some of that stuff in, but there's just so much good stuff that the other guys sing that,
it's hard to
sit back there and play drums.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I honestly, it's a pretty well-kept secret that I hate playing drums and singing at the same time.
I bet.
You can't serve two masters. You know what I mean? You just can't. No matter what it is. So if you're going to do something really well, a jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yeah.
So when I play drums, I like to get into it and think of nothing but my drums.
I hear you.
And nothing but the rhythm. And when I sing, I want to focus on nothing but connecting the band to the audience. I'm directing traffic up there. I am I'm your ticket into the show. I'm your host for the tour. I'm your guide, you know what I mean? And I'm out there to connect with the audience. And I don't want to have to play drums when I'm singing lead. But in a band like Kiss, we all, Kiss Alive, we all sing, Kiss, everybody sang, so if you're in a tribute to that, you got to do that. So I sing back. I sing Black Diamond, which is a really fun song.
I bet.
I say I don't like to play drums and sing, but I'll tell you what, that's a hell of a fun song to do it in. It's probably one of their heaviest tunes, which appeals to me as well.
Yeah.
It's the whole band instead of me singing out there by myself, which I like. I like being in a band. I don't want to just be standing on stage by myself. I do, and it's a cool moment, and I like it, but I like when we're all, when the car is just running on all four cylinders, you know what I mean? All four tires are going in the same direction. And that song is just a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah.
It's a powerhouse. It's got several different parts to it. It's almost an epic. It's got like Master of Puppets. There's several different sections,
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. I love that song. So, and now, there's a rumor that we've been working on a version of Hard Luck Woman.
Oh, that would be cool.
You
wow.
guys have been after me like hound dogs. I can't get away from it. I'm not a fan of ballads in this band.
Mm-hmm.
However, I like Kiss band ballads. I like all Kiss music.
Uh-huh.
Let me say that. I'm not a fan of, when we're doing the songs on the show, I want rock,
Yeah.
But we give the fans whatever they want to hear. Those Kiss fans, whatever songs they want to hear, we're there to do it. We're just human jukeboxes, you know what I mean? But I like those driving ones. But they've been after me for a while to get some more Peter in the set.
Baby Driver, that would be cool. Yeah.
No pun intended. And so, there's a rumor we're working up a couple things. There's a rumor that at the next show, maybe up in Big Bear, we're working up a version of Hard Luck Woman.
Hard Luck Woman, that would be cool because, it's kind of a ballad, but not really as much as, say, Beth or Forever even. But
now, songs I want to do in the future, if you're asking me about other Peter Criss songs, I'd like to do Strange Ways. That's a really cool tune. I saw Peter do that with his solo band when him and Ace did it. Yeah. That club tour right before the Kiss reunion. But actually, I think I saw him sing it with Ace's band.
Yeah.
What's that one on?
Baby Driver.
Yeah, Baby Driver. But what's the one on Dynasty?
Dirty Livin'. Yeah, that would be a cool one because even Kiss never did that.
I like that song. It's got kind of I don't want to say a Congo rhythm there, but there's something different underneath that little, I think it's because they were heading into disco territory.
Yeah, they were trying to be disco, but it wasn't really disco. They were trying to be disco, but it wasn't really disco.
Strange Ways is just a dirty, raunchy rock tune, and I love that. It's got this, greasy feel to it, and it's a strange way, the way you look at me.
Yeah, what I love about Strange Ways, it's going all the way back to 1974, Hotter Than Hell. And that was actually, people may not even realize, that's an Ace tune. He wrote that, but he didn't feel comfortable singing at that point. So he usually, which he usually would give his songs to Peter or Gene to do. And I could never figure out why Gene doesn't drink alcohol. How the hell did he write a tune singing about drinking alcohol? And then find out, no, Ace. Yeah. And I'm glad on Origins 1 he finally does a version of Cold Gin with his vocal, because that's cool to have.
It is. And then he also does a version of Parasite, and on the other guitar is none other than Mr. John Five, who recorded a lot of music with David Lee Roth, including the 2 new solo tunes that David Lee Roth has put out just since Eddie Van Halen passed.
Yeah, and I think...
The first one being Somewhere Over the Rainbow Bar and Grill.
Yeah, that's a cool tune.
The second one was Giddy Up. And you know what, by the way, I'm going to do something funny right here. If you'll indulge me, Jason.
Sure.
Because I've been having fun with this lately. I saw a talk show host do this. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel. Okay. And most people have Alexas.
Yeah.
And some of the people that are going to be listening to this show probably have an Alexa within the sound of my voice.
Oh, wow.
So here's what we're going to do right now. Ready? Alexa, play Jump by Van Halen. And there's an Alexa somewhere in my studio that just started playing it too.
Wow.
That's awesome. Let's hear this. I'm going to wander out in the studio room here.
Okay.
And then where is it? Oh, no, it's out by the pool. Here I am out by the pool side, and there's the music. And there it is.
Oh, that's
the lead single, the big hit.
Yeah.
Jump by Van Halen from 1984's album, 1984. Only here with Jason Houston. And what does he say? Nothing gets me. That's right.
Nothing gets me. I love that. Yeah, I love that intro to that song. Yeah.
It's classic.
And
it's a keeper.
I think, don't be surprised, Jason. I've been hearing like John 5 even talk about this album that's kind of been, shelved for many years now. But I think now that Van Halen, nothing's going to be going on with them. I think Dave, they're
put
kind
the
of
whole record out. Put all those songs out.
That's what they're hinting at.
And,
so
put a big high-powered band together.
Yeah.
Imagine John 5 and David Lee Roth doing live shows together. How amazing would that be?
Yeah.
And get Greg Bissonette.
Oh yeah.
He got the drummer and the keyboard player Brett Tuggle from the from his Skyscraper album, and the drummer from the Even Smile band.
And maybe even
that's who plays on those 2 new. I imagine that for a band.
Yeah, and even maybe get Billy Sheehan since he's not doing anything these days.
How great would that be?
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I would be surprised. Maybe they're going to put it out in time for Dave going back out on the road with Kiss. How cool would that be?
Well, we definitely got new music out now, don't we?
Yeah, so
that's something to celebrate. Like I said, let's not worry about what wasn't. Yeah. Let's not worry about what we didn't have or if the glass is half empty. Let's be like David Lee Roth and just celebrate the stuff we have. Celebrate the stuff that did occur.
Yeah.
Like this song that's playing right now. That happened. And how great was that we have the song Jump to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
Kids can listen to this
song. You're so right. And
hear great music.
These 2 new Dave tunes.
Kids are going to hear it.
These 2 new Dave.
Halen is now eternal.
Oh, yeah.
The music of Van Halen will live forever now, and that's awesome.
Yeah, but 2 new Dave tunes, I tell you, it makes me so excited to hear the rest of the album.
Dude, it sounds so great.
Yeah.
His voice sounds great. The music's great. What's not to love? John 5 is a master songwriter and can write with anybody.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with John 5.
He wrote that whole DLR Band album.
Yeah.
Where David Lee Roth had songs like
Slam Dunk. Yeah.
And, What Was That? And stuff like that. That DLR, he called it the DLR Band.
Yeah.
The L stood for Lowry, as in John Lowry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's when he went by that name. Yeah, he wasn't even John 5 then. That's how long back those 2 guys have been writing for it together since.
Absolutely. I think it's great. So I'm loving the fact that we got new David Lee Roth music in the universe.
I'm with you now. Before we go, I was wanting to ask you, since you play role Peter Criss in your band, have you ever heard those 2 Peter Criss solo albums he put out when he first left Kiss? Out of Control?
Yeah, I've got one of them. Out of Control. Somebody just bought me my drum guru and the guy who helped me build my Peter Criss drum set. Guy by the name of Dave Jansen, DJ they call him.
Yeah.
DJ for one of the recent holidays bought me Peter Criss Out of Control on vinyl.
Oh yeah, they just did that. I heard, but I like those albums. It's the
They're
same.
Okay. There was good stuff. You know, he tries.
Yeah.
His best work was in Kiss, though. What can you say? It's the sum of all parts. It's just like Van Halen.
Yeah, see, Peter, I think.
David Lee Roth music is awesome.
I think Peter.
Van Halen music without David Lee Roth is awesome.
I think Peter.
But when you put David Lee Roth and Van Halen music together, you get magic.
Yeah, and hey, do you know what song that Peter and Vinnie Vincent wrote together?
Really?
Yeah. If you go on the other Peter Criss album called "Let Me Rock," you can even look this up on YouTube.
"Let Me Rock You." I know that album. Yes. What was the song?
Tears. Vinny actually wrote it, I think, but Vinny actually does you can find a demo he does online too. But
well, that's funny because he also, Peter Criss was in a very short-lived project with
Mark St. John.
Vinnie Vincent's replacement, Mark St. John.
Yeah. And I think you can find that online too if you type in like Mark St. John project. And those tunes are pretty good. And some of those were like Peter, when he had his solo band, like in the 90s, did that Cat number 1 album.
Here's the problem I have.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a rock songwriter.
Yeah.
In terms of heavy rock, hard rock, I think he's got a supreme voice for rock songs.
Yeah.
The man can scream in key.
Oh, yeah.
Almost unheard of. The guy in his early stuff, and even to the end, like say the Kiss reunion on MTV. You look at the way he was singing those songs. He looked like an old man, but because he had these Coke bottle glasses. But man, he played great, and his voice was just—he's got this screaming, singing thing that it's hard to do. It's like Brian Johnson. It's not the same voice, but it's hard for human beings to sing like that more than once, let alone an entire career.
Yeah, you look at
when you get somebody that writes an amazing song, and then you put his voice on it, then you get an amazing song like, let's say, Black Diamond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think when he was in charge of picking the songs and all that stuff, it was good stuff. But there's a reason why it didn't get on the charts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That voice needed high-powered songs.
Oh yeah.
And that's a testament to the songwriting skills of
whoever.
Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
Yeah, and point made about like talking about Kiss Unplugged for a minute, and then we'll wrap it up. If you listen to like Nothing to Lose, Unplugged, Rock and Roll All Night, where all the guys kind of take a verse of the song, the voice you can really hear on like Nothing to Lose, Peters.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean you can hear Gene and Paul because they're the lead singers, but I mean
all that stuff that he does, that interplay in between the vocal lines. He does those little got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose.
That's what I love. That's what I loved about that.
All that stuff is him, in there, and that's what I'm saying. I was listening to that going, man, he's still got that voice.
Yeah, and sometimes I dare say he's a better singer than drummer. I mean, he was a great drummer like early on a lot of those classic Kiss albums, but I think later in his career, the drugs, messed him up too much.
He had a scream that was undeniable, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Well, Jason Lee, thanks for doing the interview. Like I said, next time we're going to be talking about Rush, but the interview we did tonight, that's going to be going up in July, so I will keep you posted, and you have it.
And I'm going to try one more thing here. I'm going to talk to everyone out there.
Okay.
People, first of all, go see David Lee Roth on the End of the Road tour with Kiss, because Kiss is awesome, and if it's the last time you get to see him, you get out there. Go say goodbye to him. Do it so you can say you were there, okay? Go see the Kiss tour, End of the Road, okay? And shout out to their amazingly talented sound crew on that tour, headed up by a good friend of mine, Mr. Sam Morris from 1313 Records, 1313 Studios.
Wow.
Out in Vegas. The guy's amazing, and they do amazing work, clearly. And go see that tour. Okay, and then I want to tell people, go see my band, Kissed Alive, and go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/KissedAlive/events, and you can find out where we're going to be. Like June 18th, we're going to be in Big Bear. Like very soon after that, we're going to hit the Canyon Club tour. We're going to have a lot of fun this summer. We want people to come out with us till you can get to see Kiss. Come see us and party with us. We'll throw a big party, and we'll play a lot of Kiss music, and we're going to have a lot of fun, okay? And then also go out and re-listen to 1984 by Van Halen. Listen to it entire, okay? In its entirety. Out there, everyone listening to the sound of my voice.
And
listen to 1984, the album by Van Halen.
And final word from you. Final word from you tonight, my friend, is in regards to your voice. If anybody wants to go check out your original Jason Lee and Friends tunes, where can they go do that?
Well, I I suppose you could go and find my Reverb Nation page. I believe it says Jason Lee 1, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I believe there's a few things on SoundCloud. However, I would probably
prefer
maybe drop this nugget on you that towards the end of last year, I made some moves that would allow Kiss Alive to officially and legally release Kiss music with us playing it. And so on Christmas Day, as you know, we dropped our first single, which was War Machine by Kiss, but it was us playing it, Kissed Alive. They can find it on Amazon, iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, all that stuff. Kissed Alive, War Machine.
Okay.
But that same set of moves also saw the creation of a little entity that will allow me to start releasing my original stuff.
And we'll be looking for that.
Going back through old stuff. I'm working maybe possibly with some new
friends,
material, or different new people.
Okay.
I'm going to be putting out some stuff this year. My band is working on new stuff. We're going to be having new Kiss tunes done by Kissed Alive very soon. I'm not going to say what's coming next, but I'll say some titles that we've been playing around with anyway.
Okay.
Run the gamut from old stuff like Strutter to Bruce Kulick, who was my favorite Kiss guitar player outside of Ace. You know, maybe like Tears Are Falling, I've heard, was a possibility that we're kicking around. You know, Parasite is an idea we've been talking about.
I like that.
We may or may not have already been working on one or all of those, who knows. So 2022 is good. Well,
looking up.
Probably we'll have something out before the end of the year on both fronts. We'll have some new Jason Lee and Friends material, and we're going to have some new Kissed Alive tunes out there for
Well, we will be on the lookout for that, my friend, and you take care and have a great rest of the weekend.
Absolutely. Let's close with this. Everyone, get me close. So take your cell phone and stand next to your Alexa, okay? I want to have a conversation with Alexa. You ready? Alexa, play the album 1984 by Van Halen.
1984 by Van Halen on Amazon Music.
Take care, everybody. Listen to more Van Halen.
We will, my friend. Bye-bye.